now. Let's go to our pollster power panel. Joining me is Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of Real Clear Politics, and Chris Wilson, digital strategy director for Senator Ted Cruz's 2016 campaign. Tom, let's start with you. Should the similarities between Joe and Hillary have Team Biden worried?
I think they should, and I think you make a pretty good argument of the similarities between the two candidacies. At this point in 2008, in the race, Democratic primary race, Hillary Clinton was up over 20 points on Barack Obama. She led that race all the way until Barack Obama won Iowa, and that's when she really started to collapse. We may see a similar dynamic with Joe Biden. He's got two things working in his favor. One is his support among the African-American community, which is still very, very strong. The other thing is the electability question, which you saw his wife, Jill Biden, sort of make ham-handedly the other night. But if those two things, those two assets of Biden start to erode, he's going to be in real trouble.
Chris, what's amazing here is that there have been so many efforts to elevate or prop up or inflate the appeal of the other candidates on the stump. We see endless profiles of Buttigieg. We see Kamala Harris heralded. It goes on and on. Obviously, Sanders still can draw a big crowd. Warren has a big crowd. Yet Biden's not only still up on the top of the heap, he's gained points from some pretty lame debate performances. So what does this tell us? I mean, it all seems like 2016 to me, not 2008, as Tom referenced.
Well, it does, but I'll say the other thing about 2016 is Joe Biden would give anything to have Hillary Clinton's numbers. When you have an established frontrunner, you look at Clinton in 2016, she was consistently over 50% at this time. You take George W. Bush in 2000, was consistently over 50% at this time. So if Biden was really 2.0, he would be doing better. Now, he has picked up about 7 points in the most recent polling, and you've also seen the other candidates we thought were going to start to compete with him. Kamala Harris has dropped substantially. Elizabeth Warren is down a little bit. And so I think the other problem that Biden has right now is he's just a big government conservative in a party that is increasingly dominated by actual socialists. And so the question he's kind of struggling with is how far to the left, how close to that socialist angle does he have to go to make sure he doesn't begin to hemorrhage votes to a Sanders or an Elizabeth Warren. And it's a really difficult place to be because right now the argument he has to make, as Tom pointed out, is he's electable in a general election. But if he continues to veer too far to the left to be able to try and maintain or pull over those socialist votes, it puts him in a real challenging position moving into a race against Trump.
Tom, what does this mean, though? Because he is the guy who's on the top of the heap. Now, he's not at 50%, you're right, Chris, but the other candidates didn't have a dozen-plus candidates to split up the electorate into these small slices. That's the big difference in this race. You have a lot of people in the race.
It's a big race.
And a lot of them with increasing name ID and endless glowing profiles in Vogue magazine, People magazine. I mean, this is just an endless series of puff pieces, and nothing they've done, Tom Bevan, has been able to blunt Biden. Even his gaffes aren't changing the public's opinion. Maybe people like the gaffes. I don't know. Maybe they like them at this point.
Well, they're still being written off as sort of Joe being Joe, although there are, as you point out, questions being raised, and it might be one of those things where, you know, each individual instance gets brushed off until they reach some sort of tipping point that really causes his candidacy trouble. But there's no question the fact that he remains at the top of the heap is part of the fact that this is such a big race and the progressive vote is divided up among a whole host of candidates, including, I mean, if you add together Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, they have more percentage-wise than Joe Biden right now. So, but it looks like both those candidates are going to be in the race for the long haul. They both have enough money to stay in the race and enough support. So that could end up benefiting Biden. He may be able to thread the needle in the end.
I want to play something. This was this morning on MSNBC. Again, another effort after Biden's campaign ad first landed. There's a big event today. A campaign ad actually ran. This is what Joe Scarborough said. Watch.
When you're going up against an incumbent, it's about contrast. Then there's a great contrast there. You have a very hopeful, almost Reagan-esque vision of where this country can be. You see a lot of smiles. You see a lot of hugs.
Well, is that it? There's a lot of smiles and a lot of hugs. He had a lame turnout today in Iowa. He's not appearing much on the campaign trail. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But Chris, again, another attempted, lift of Biden.
It is, and it's his campaign team has really got to be struggling right now with how to handle it, because they don't want to run. They tried a little bit of a Rose Garden strategy, doing some interviews that didn't work out. It's almost like now they're trying a weekend at Bernie strategy, where they're just rolling him out every now and then, rolling back again before he can say anything or do anything that might be a problem. And I don't think you're going to see many more speeches like the one that you showed the clips of before. Well, the Union Hall. And now that you have MSNBC and Joe Scarborough trying to tout his TV ads as the next big event in the campaign, yeah, it's just a joke. I mean, it belies any sort of description, because it is so laughable.
Yeah, no, maybe Bonzo, but not Reagan. All right, guys, thanks so much. Great to see you tonight. And now.